Coming to paperback and e-readers, Isis Dark Incubus. The goddess next door gets enthralled in a romantic entanglement with an evil incubus in this all-new Isis series adventure. Pre-order your copy of Isis Dark Incubus at Amazon.com and other online booksellers everywhere. Now available in paperback and Kindle, All About Marilyn. Learn all about the struggles of a faded former teen sitcom star in this absolutely fabulous 5-star screenplay. Get All About Marilyn in paperback and Kindle on Amazon.com today. A couple of weeks ago, I saw a video by a young person who said that they were shocked to hear about all of the suicides that have recently taken place in the adult film industry. And over the last 3 months, 4 female adult film stars have taken their own lives. And while it was a surprise to the person who made that video, it wasn't a surprise to me. Now, as somebody who has studied the entertainment industry for over 25 years, I understand how brutal the entertainment business is, and the most brutal business of the entertainment industry is the adult film industry. And the adult film industry basically is a place where people go because they are desperate to try to make some sort of fame. Usually the women who go into the adult film industry are going there because they really don't have many options, and even worse, they come from dysfunctional homes where their family life wasn't really good, and because they come from a dysfunctional home life, they wind up on the road to the adult film industry because many adult film stars are originally strippers and escorts, and they're hoping to get a break in the entertainment industry that they hope will, 1, allow them to get some sort of attention, and 2, they are hoping that this will lead to them getting a better opportunity at making more money by getting more exposure. Unfortunately, when it comes to the adult film industry, this is the bottom of the entertainment industry and the rock bottom of the entertainment industry, and a lot of those aspirations for fame and success never really materialize. And they don't really materialize in the adult film industry because usually in the adult film industry, performers are not really paid very well. Usually a performer gets anywhere from $1,000 to possibly $5,000 for one scene in an adult film, and the things that they have to do to get that $1,000 to $5,000 really compromise their dignity and their self-respect, because the adult film industry these days, in order to make the larger amounts of money, these women have to participate in deviant sexual acts such as sodomy or double or even triple penetration, and these sex acts basically put a lot of wear and tear on a woman's mind and wear and tear on her spirit. And I go in depth on this in my book, The Woman Crisis, because what happens to a lot of these adult film stars is that they wind up on a road to being women in crisis as they continue to try to perform in the adult film industry. Now, when it comes to most women are not really designed by the Most High God to be able to participate in these kinds of sex acts that are presented in adult films. No, the Most High God made women to be a helpmeet to a man and to be his wife in a marriage. And the sex that they're supposed to have it also has emotional and spiritual connections, and a lot of these women don't really understand those emotional and spiritual connections as they participate in adult films where they pretend to have sex with these men. However, as they are in these sex acts, what happens to these women is that they really think that they can do this and it not have any sort of emotional impact on them. However, the emotional impact is the thing that winds up leading to many of these women winding up on a road where they really start to have issues as related to their mental and spiritual health. Now, the Most High made women, again, to be a helpmeet to a man and to be a wife to a husband. And as a part of that, when a man and a woman have sex, they wind up forming spiritual connections with each other as the two of them become one. And as the two of them become one, as this man releases his spirit and DNA inside of that woman, what happens to that woman is she forms a spiritual bond with that man in a marriage. And as she forms the spiritual bond with that man, this is what allows them to come together and pair bond. That is why a woman and a man should wait to be married before they have sex, because this is how you can wind up bonding with a woman and the two of you can come close together. Unfortunately, when it comes to adult film stars, they have already been participating in sexual promiscuity, oftentimes because sometimes of the miseducation they have received due to Madison Avenue and Hollywood, thanks to the sexual revolution. And some of them have wound up participating in sexual promiscuity due to the way it was modeled for them by their parents, and others wound up participating in sexual promiscuity as they wound up not being neglected as related to getting their emotional needs met by their parents. But this sexual promiscuity has them looking to get attention from men, and as they look to get attention from men, some of these women go from being sexually promiscuous with men to going to participate in being a stripper or a nude model, and others look to further get more attention and get more dopamine hits by going to websites like OnlyFans. And as they escalate, they're looking to get more attention, looking to get more of a dopamine hit, because the reason why they want the attention is because they want that rush from dopamine. And as they look to get attention, they think they can enter the entertainment industry because they want to get more attention and as related to sex. And what happens to many of these adult film stars is as they look to get this attention through participating in these sexual acts, what happens is instead of them forming that spiritual bond with a husband, what happens is they get the spirits and DNA of multiple men released inside of them with each sexual act they participate in. And as they form these spiritual bonds with these men, what happens is all of these spirits start tearing at this woman's soul as they fight to bond with her soul. And as these spirits tear at her soul, this is what leads to this woman not being able to connect with a man and not being able to bond with a man. And it leads to that woman winding up becoming very disconnected and very detached. And as she's an emotional creature, she's not able to get her emotional needs met because she has all these souls tearing at her soul. And because she can't get her emotional needs met and be made emotionally secure by one man, this is what leads to this woman becoming more and more spiritually detached. And as she becomes more and more spiritually detached, what happens is she starts to feel disconnected from her own body and herself as she's participating in these sex acts, in these adult films. And over time, what this does is wear down on the mental and spiritual health of that woman. And as it wears down on the mental and emotional and spiritual health of that woman, as she goes from being detached, starts to feel numb, because as she's going out here participating in these sex acts, she's looking to try to find a way to reconnect with her body and her mind and her spirit. Unfortunately, she's not able to do this with each man that she has sexual relations with. And in today's modern adult film industry, where women are having sexual relations with not just one man in one scene, they're having sex acts with multiple men in some cases, like the group sex scenes, and they're also participating in more deviant sexual acts like the double penetration, the triple penetration, and the quadruple penetration, and the sodomy. And as they participate in these acts, again, it just really starts to make that woman feel numb, and it makes her feel numb at a young age. And as she feels numb, she starts to get what people call the thousand cock stare. And again, is basically her mind and body are spiritually shell shocked. And as she's shell shocked, she becomes so disconnected from herself that she doesn't even feel alive anymore. And what happens to many of these women, because they no longer feel alive anymore, is they do things that are antisocial to try to get some sort of sensation as related to stimulating their emotions. This is why you'll see some performers looking to get tattoos and get tattoos all over their body because they want to get that sensation of feeling and emotion back. Unfortunately, what happens is for some performers, even that doesn't do anything for them anymore. And what happens is that makes the woman start to feel despondent because she can no longer feel or connect with her own body. And because she feels like she cannot connect with her own body because her own spirit is just basically being torn completely apart by all of the sex acts they have participated in with these men, and the souls and DNA of all of these men basically ripping her whole spiritual body and mental body apart, and her mind is just basically torn to pieces. This woman basically becomes so numb on the inside and feels so worthless about her own life that the thing that she believes that she can do to escape all of this spiritual torment that she suffers every day is to possibly go and end her own life. And this is what happened, I believe, in the case of all of these adult film stars, all of these young women. What happened with all of these young women is that as they looked to escape, what they did was go and start doing things like, after the tattoos in some cases, taking drugs. And in several cases, they wound up overdosing on the drugs because they wanted to escape. And in another case, one wound up shooting herself in the head because it was just so much torment. And that's what many people don't see behind the scenes of these adult films. What they don't see behind the scenes of these adult films with these so-called attractive women on the outside is that these women are being spiritually tormented on the inside, and they're spiritually tormented on the inside because the males that they're dealing with in many cases have a lot of demonic spirits inside of them from all of the sexual encounters they have participated in. And many of those males, they are not heterosexual at all. No, a lot of times there are men, again, and they're having all of this casual sex. And again, this stuff is really affecting these men. It's affecting these men and women because this is, again, doing damage to their spirits. And as they are out here, again, getting attention in the adult film industry, what people don't see is that this person is basically being broken down over time, and they're being broken down over time as related to these sex acts. Yes, it appears to be entertaining to some people, but what they don't understand is that this type of sex acts over time, it takes a toll on a adult performer's physical health, their mental health, their spiritual health. And again, when it comes to women, because women are emotional, it does real serious damage because the way women have sex is different from the way that men have sex. And again, when it comes to a woman, when she wants to have sex with a man, she wants to form a bond with that man. But when you are promiscuous and have multiple men, there's no way for a woman to get her emotional needs met by bonding with a man. And this is where the adult film star starts to feel really, again, detached and disconnected to the point where they feel like their life is worthless because, yes, they're having lots of sexual relations with men, but they're not forming the bond that they want to have that will allow them to get close to a man. And even as they are in the adult film industry, they can't bond with other people because they have so many spirits of men inside of them. And when they realize that they cannot bond and connect with people as related to basic relationships, because when you have hundreds of sexual partners over the course of a few years, what that does is it wears you down to the point where you cannot really even connect with people like your own family members. You can't really connect and share with people, and that's something women love to do. Women want to share and bond with a person, especially a man. And again, they cannot have that intimacy or that closeness. They can't form that connection. They can't form that connection, and because those women can't form that connection, that spiritual bond with a man, this is what puts the woman on the road to becoming a woman in crisis. And that woman in crisis starts to feel so worthless about her life that she winds up feeling the only way for her to escape is by ending her own life. And again, it's very sad to hear, but the whole thing is this has been going on for decades, ever since the adult film industry started. And many performers have wound up taking their lives because they just couldn't take it anymore, as related to the feelings of loneliness, the feelings of detachment from their own bodies as they are having these sexual acts. Because for a lot of the adult entertainers, what happens to them is you may see them having sex, but the whole thing is that woman is basically, she feels like she's out of her own body in many cases. And in many cases, she pretends like she's having a good time, but she's not having any good time at all because she's not bonding with that man. It's not close to her at all. And because she doesn't feel close to anyone, she just feels like there's nothing worth living for, because again, women are emotional and they want to feel in order to live. And in the case of this intimate act, again, it just feels like somebody else is just using your body. And this is something many people don't understand about the adult film industry, and why you see this trend of stars taking their lives. These stars are basically taking their lives because they can't take it anymore as related to the spiritual torment that they are going through. They just can't take it as related to the torture of just living in a world where you thought you were going to get attention and get fame, but you really didn't get that. No, what happens is with the adult film star is that they lost their intangibles of womanhood in their quest for attention to get their emotional needs met. And as they've lost their dignity, lost their self-worth and their self-respect, they cannot look at themselves anymore and see a person who they believe deserves to live. And sadly, that's what motivates many adult film stars to go on the road to addiction and then the road to possibly taking their own lives. And these women in crisis are becoming, again, a disturbing trend of women taking their lives. And they're taking their lives because, again, these women were told by feminists and other people that it was their body to do whatever they please. They weren't taught that your body is a temple of the Holy Spirit, and they go and defile their bodies with all of these demons and as related to these men in these promiscuous sex acts. And what happens to these women is as they defile their temple, it becomes a sepulcher, and it becomes a sepulcher, and as it becomes the sepulcher, these women really start to, again, feel worthless about themselves, and that's what's motivating all of these suicides and as related to things, because the adult film industry doesn't treat people like people. And that's another aspect of the adult film industry many people don't really understand. They don't really understand that the adult film industry basically commodifies women, and as it commodifies women, it sees them as a property, similar to the way that the Hollywood entertainment industry sees women, in that they commodify the woman. And Instead of the woman getting her emotional needs met, what happens is she's just treated like cattle, because they treat people like cattle on these adult film sets, because these films are filmed very quickly and they basically are done in a day or a couple of hours, and they don't even have changing rooms or places for people to get breaks. I mean, the adult film industry is the most brutal industry because, unlike the Hollywood entertainment industry with SAG-AFTRA, you have a union to protect you, but adult film stars don't have a union to protect them, and the money that they get is so low, and that basically makes it where many women just feel worthless, because they basically are, even in some cases, making less than they would when they were stripping. A lot of women go into the adult film industry thinking they're going to be big stars and make big money, but they become deeply disappointed when they find out that the adult film industry only pays from $1,000 to maybe possibly $5,000 a scene, and the more a person has to do to get to the $5,000 will cost them more of their dignity, more of their self-respect, and they have to live with the shame of all of these acts they've participated in. They have to live with the shame of all of these men basically just destroying their body, and they have to live with this. And again, it becomes an impossible thing to bear as related to living with yourself and reflecting on your life. And this is what motivates many adult film stars to take their lives. They have to think about all the acts that they've participated in with all of these men, all of the sodomy, all of the double and triple penetrations, all of the most deviant and disturbing acts. And again, this is why adult film stars are really troubled women who start out troubled as related to their family life early on, and as they become troubled, they go from being women who are in these adult films to winding up becoming women in crisis. Now, if you want to learn more about what leads to many deeply troubled women winding up on the road to becoming women in crisis, you can pick up my book, The Woman Crisis, on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find The Woman Crisis at other online booksellers like Draft to Digital, Google Play. You can also find it at other paperback, other retailers like Barnes & Noble, Walmart, and Target. And if you want to see me talk more about men's issues and women in crisis, you can send a donation to the Patreon, the PayPal, or the Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback and e-readers, All About Nikki, a fabulous first season. The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air meets Clueless in this absolutely fabulous African-American 1990s teen sitcom. Get all 13 episodes of All About Nikki, the fabulous first season, in paperback and e-readers today. Now available in paperback. From the author of the critically acclaimed book, The Man Crisis, comes The Woman Crisis. Learn why so many women have become lost in their quest to have it all in The Woman Crisis. Get your copy of The Woman Crisis in paperback at Amazon.com and online booksellers today. Support Black-owned and Black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.